Good evening. It's Monday, which means it's time for Enterprise at 8. This is Live Long and Podcast Enterprise rewatch series. It's been about, around 20 years.
20 years?
That's right, Trip. 20 years since Doctor's Orders first aired, but we're just getting started here at Enterprise at 8. I'm Jody Simpson. Along with me is not my co-host because he's running late, so we're just going to move on. Joining Adam eventually and I tonight is Live Long and Podcast awesome producer and the man who likes creeping around the ship like a Draxian cloud viper, Dave Mater.
Yeah, I'm just going to start walking around naked throughout this podcast and strategically covering my junk with
Austin Powers style.
Austin Powers style. Yeah, that's my plan for this.
He needed more melons, though. There wasn't enough melons.
Marshmallows.
Yeah. And of course, who could forget the man who needs no introduction, mostly because I didn't write one, Kevin Millard.
Hey. All right.
There you go. Today's episode is Doctor's Orders. This is the 67th episode of the series. There's only 30 episodes left, guys. We're almost there.
Oh,
there's my co-host, fashionably late.
Not fashionably.
I don't know. That's a pretty spiffy shirt you got on there.
he's fashionable.
Anyway, Adam, how are you today, Adam? Other than getting stuck in traffic.
Oh, we're live. We're good. You know what, guys? I have to admit I didn't watch the clock and I was a little late leaving. So anyway,
that's okay. So this is the 67th episode, as I said. There's only 30 episodes left of the series, so we're getting near the end, guys.
I'm just starting to like it.
Yeah, we're starting to get good.
It took you 3 seasons. So this episode is about the order to traverse the trans-dimensional disturbance safely. Phlox must put the rest of the crew in stasis and pilot Enterprise himself. Very Phlox episode, with a little bit of other things in there, but mostly Phlox. But
T'Pol.
Yeah, well, was it T'Pol?
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
It's only been 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years?
That's right, Trip. 20 years. Anyway, what do we all think of this episode? Kevin.
Pretty good. Oh,
Yeah, it was okay. It was good.
Okay, it was good.
It dragged in places, but I mean that's to be expected when you've got a cast of basically one.
Yeah. And what about you, Dave?
I think it's pretty good. I think that it reminds me a lot of a Voyager episode where they all have to go to sleep, and I think it's just the Doctor and Seven who are still awake for it.
Yes.
But this one has a bit of a twist. Although I think on the rewatch today, because I had seen this episode before, and I was like, I think that the whole thing with him walking around naked, I think, is the real red herring, if you will. I don't know if because I don't think if with T'Pol, we're supposed to believe that T'Pol has also not been put into a coma or whatever, but then it doesn't. That part doesn't add up for me. So,
well, if you look at it, they actually give you 2 different clues. Number one, the T'Pol is wearing the wrong outfit through the entire episode. So she's supposed to be wearing the blue outfit. She's not. She's wearing the older outfit. So that kind of gives it away a bit if you kind of follow that. But obviously, it's such a out there thing that it doesn't really matter.
I didn't even notice that, Jody. The uniforms. You normally all of.
It's
Dave.
Obvious,
I'm actually disappointed.
It's obvious that it's not her because why would they bother trying to get Phlox to learn how to do the engineering
when they have her
to fly
do
the
it?
ship? If T'Pol is going to be awake,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
She knows how to.
And
do
that was my second point. Why would they do that? So, I think it was a nice twist to an episode, but I still think I'm kind of with Kevin on that. There's a lot of draggy parts in it. It's an episode that is a 40-minute shot episode that could have been a 25 to 30-minute episode easily, without an issue. So, what do you think, Adam?
I am pretty much the same. I went a little long for me. It was good. I like any Dr. Phlox episodes. I think he's funny. I think they do things. I like the Austin Power, the whole thing they did with him and when he was naked.
Yeah.
I like the ball. Like I don't mind them together. Like it was entertaining. However, coming off of Picard, especially the last episode there, that was intense, and this was sort of
They call him the fashionable male.
Fashionable male. Adam.
Oh, dear.
Adam needs to be a model, apparently. All right.
Thanks, Sam.
And Sam says in the Karen voice, actually 19 years. That's why we say about. I'm not going to keep going through this with you, Sam.
Such a Karen thing to say, Sam.
Yeah,
I
such a
think-
Karen thing. Why don't you go talk to the manager?
I think this episode, I would have liked to have seen a little more of Phlox going crazy.
Yeah,
Like, a
because we
little
only
more
kind of
over
get
the
it
top
right at
thing.
the end, right? Like we only
Yeah.
get like the last 10 minutes of the episode is literally him kind of crazy. But we don't kind of get any of that until literally the end.
And Kevin, they did a pretty good job of actually, like, you know, when you're alone in a house or in a business or wherever you are and you hear things, you know,
Yeah.
and I thought like the ship banging around like that would be natural and you'd be kind of, and freaked out. Why not? Like, you don't know what's going on. That's it.
I can feel this question. There's more light behind him right now.
Ah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is
the
the
question
same
is what
background.
for our audio only listeners?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot. We have audio only listeners. Did Kevin get a new background? No, it's just lit more.
Yeah.
It looks like natural sunlight, actually.
Yeah, actually, it's I've started to put my projector on a solid kind of orange.
Oh, it looks
Uh,
looks good.
yeah. Instead of
Unlike-
buying new lights.
I'm like washed out white me here. Yeah. But anyway, I think Dave and you have the best lighting right now. The guests have to have better lighting.
I have
than
surround lighting. That's how.
There you go. Exactly.
No shadows.
Anyway, let's get into this episode. I think, guys. I think we kind of.
Let's
did
go.
that.
Let's go back to our format from the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Jane said she liked this format because it looks like we're all kind of in the same room, maybe.
Hmm.
You know?
Jane would know.
I'm
Yeah.
with Jane.
Yeah. So we
I'm not
see
going to argue with her.
the first shot is of Enterprise in this purple nebula.
Mhm.
We see an empty bridge, an empty engineering, an empty mess hall, and then an empty corridor until we see the glimpse of Porthos coming along.
This is
going
the
through-
most screen time Porthos has ever had in an episode.
in a while too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Phlox chasing after him. Porthos saying, open the door, which Phlox finds amusing. He says, okay, just for a minute. We see that Archer has got a little thing on his head, a medical device of some kind, and Porthos just wants to be with Archer, who has a little bit of stubble, as I guess, you know, he's been laying there for a while. And licks his face, and then, you know, Phlox says, okay, that's enough of that, and picks him up. We see Archer laying in bed, and that's the teaser. You know, pretty quick. We come into the
It's
episode.
not a bad teaser though, because you're like, if this is the first time watching this episode, you're like, what the hell's happening? Like, there's no
Yeah.
context or anything, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's you know, pretty good setup. We come in here, and does it start off with the log? No, it doesn't. Actually, we get another shot here of Enterprise in space, and then the title card, Doctor's Orders, with Phlox on the top bunk here.
And Porthos hanging out with him.
Yeah, we
Then
see
we
a
get to see
glimpse-
those nasty nails that he always has.
Indeed. Him coming through the halls here, going to the galley, and he's writing another letter like he did in was it Dear Doctor?
Dear
Is that-
Doctor, yeah.
Yeah, so he's that same guy that he's writing a letter to, who we get to finally meet next season.
Yes.
In the whole when Brent Spiner guest starred on the show. Oh man, so this is the one thing I don't like about this format is it cuts off the bottom of the.
Yeah.
Let's try this one.
Oh,
So
that one's not bad.
yeah,
They're bigger
so,
now
yeah,
though.
written by Chris Black, directed by Roxanne Dawson, and
Finally, an episode that she directed that I liked.
well, yeah, well, we can cross check that after just to see if there's
Yeah.
any others. But yeah, I kind of liked this. This has a real horror vibe. This episode, and
Yeah, she does a good job of making it eerie without making it, you know,
Yeah.
over the top. You know, like it's a nice.
we're not going to
nice
find
mix.
any zombie Vulcans on this ship.
Unfortunately,
no, I thought there was some interesting camera angles and like, especially
Lighting too, Dave. Like the way
I also-
that, you know, I mean, as he left a room, it went dark. You know, as he went into a room, it lit up. It was good. I thought that was all very.
I also like his interactions with Porthos as well. I think that's kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's taking off. We see this little.
He's
jar
definitely an
here.
animal lover, right? Like, so it kind of makes sense that he gets along with Porthos.
Yeah, he's part doctor, part zookeeper. And then he's got his little jar here. It says Dr. Flox's "Do not eat," which is from the chef's pantry.
I don't know if the doctor says "do not eat" on a label. That's an instant. Yep. Okay.
I love that it's in like masking tape.
Yeah. That's a nice touch.
And like a Sharpie, you know.
The N is also backwards, I think, too, isn't it?
Yeah. Doctor,
It's nice to know that label technology has not progressed.
kind of a weird end there.
And Flox writes
Just
his
the
last
backward.
name in cursive, but everything else is in.
I think the chef wrote this.
It's very possible the chef wrote it.
Yeah.
That,
anyway,
that
so-
looks a lot like Jonathan Frakes' handwriting. Could be.
possibly. Or Porthos wants one. He has to explain.
And he's like,
It's a leech, you know. Will clean out your intestinal tract.
He says, "I don't care."
and Porthos is like, no problem, throw it at me.
Yeah, so he throws
Anybody
it out.
who owns a dog knows that this is completely accurate.
Yeah, so Porthos like like chewing on it hard. I thought this leeches are okay for dogs to eat. I guess why not, right?
Why not?
Never tried it. Probably
protein.
never will.
Good old
And they're good for Denoblians to eat too. I guess so.
I
Apparently.
guess so.
Mwah, chef's kiss, with that
Well,
leech.
They're good enough to have a stockpile of them just for flocks.
Yeah, right. and for Porthos, So there you go. Enterprise here, and then we get like in the course of this letter, he's like, "Well, it all started a few days ago," and then we get this whole backstory of what's really going on here. So they're on their way to they're going to Azadi Prime, right? That's where they're headed,
Yes.
and it's like a 3-week journey. So they're going through it, and now there's some kind of new anomaly caused by the spheres that's in the way. It's going to be a disturbance in the force, if you will, and it's going to take them it will take them a while to like go around it. So, but it's probably better to go through it. But it's got all this radiation, whatever.
So at this point, did they talk about not using warp engines, or they just have to, or
They get to that. It's in this conversation. Yeah. So basically, they can warp through it. It's not a matter of but
It's the fact that the radiation will hurt people.
yeah,
Stuff like that.
basically there's no crew. Flock says we have a solution. I can put you. It's not going to affect me. This radiation. I don't know. I guess he's known that from the previous encounters they've had with these anomalies. So I can put you all into a sedation, but Trip says I don't feel like I'm not comfortable with warping through this anomaly while we're in a coma. I guess makes sense, but it's also kind of like, well, why not? Why is going at impulse?
Well, maybe this ship, warp needs a lot more maintenance to
I guess.
keep going than on like a later Enterprise, right?
Right. Yeah, I guess so. And considering we just watched the new one with Picard, and it was him and his 7 people running that whole ship, a much bigger ship, but that's the 25th century. This is the 22nd century.
Well, and I think even like putting the ship at warp, somebody has to manually actually move the slider. So it's not like an electronic like device on the bridge. It's literally like you call down to the engineering room and they do it. So it's more like traditional like steamship and stuff like that, right?
I guess so. And that's one thing I wish they had shown us more in the show. I wish we had seen more of like the crew having to do more work. I think I feel like that's the little bit part they missed, because sometimes it just feels like, well, this could be set in like the Voyager era or whatever. It doesn't always feel like it's pre-Kirk in some ways.
The one thing I do like about this series though is there's always people in the background doing work, which is something that didn't seem to happen at much on the Enterprise D. Like there's people always walking in corridors, but they weren't like, they didn't have like a panel open and they weren't like working on shit. There's always people in the background in this show that are working on things.
The Enterprise D is just so big, it's such a big ship, and like there's
well,
so
and
many
plus
rooms.
it's also much more advanced, so I'm sure it
More
has
advanced,
a lot
too.
of things. Yeah,
It's only got 10 times the crew that this ship has, but it's like, I don't know, probably 100 times the size. So it's anyway.
Somebody's
So
always crawling around in Jeffrey's.
there's so much more space for activities, Dave.
yeah, even in the original series, you saw a lot of crew too.
There was no atrium on this ship, was there?
No.
No.
No,
they-
no
See,
dolphins.
Keiko
either.
wouldn't like this ship at all.
No
And no
arboretum.
dolphins.
No, they have no dolphins, no arboretum, no
No
holidays,
children.
no
No
children,
children, yeah.
nothing like that. We don't. They have a gym. We've seen. I think all the rooms on this ship by now. I think like there's not too much.
Pretty much, yeah. There's not that much left.
A lot left. Anyway, so after selling this, like Archer agrees. Okay, I'll let Phlox. I'll let you put us all to sleep while we go through this nebula because we had to get to Azadi Prime and fulfill our mission. Trip's the hard to sell, but he goes along with it, and so that's kind of like the backstory we're given in this flashback.
So if Phlox was on the cruise, then they would go through it, or they'd go around it. I guess
They'd have to go around it.
they'd have to go around it, and
Yeah,
that would add.
and that was
time.
like 2 weeks or something like that. It was going to add.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it was already.
I don't see the big deal. I mean, they're stopping at every planet along the way. Why not just go
They're on a
around?
mission, Kevin.
to save Earth. It's very
To save
urgent.
Earth. They
Very
don't have
urgent
2
mission.
weeks now. They've already used up all their extra time going to cowboy planets and stuff.
They've used up all their buffer time.
Yeah.
Did you like this when they were putting everybody to sleep and like there's this clip here with Mayweather and he leaves the
Yeah,
I
sandwich.
love
Puts
that.
his sandwich
He's
on
just like,
top.
nom, nom, nom. Okay, put it down.
He wasn't eating a leech.
It just goes to show you nobody respects Mayweather on this series.
Well, no, Phlox does. He has a newfound respect for Mayweather.
he does. He says that.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the episode. I had to pull it. I have a new.
And soon developed a newfound respect for Ensign Mayweather.
So we're to believe that he didn't really have any respect for Mayweather.
He had no respect for him before until now, because he was
he
like
used
this-
him as a table.
Mayweather actually had to teach him how to fly the ship in case there was something he would need to.
Yeah.
Which I guess he does in the episode. At the end, he just flies it from the engineering
Which,
section.
here's another perfect example of the fact that we know that obviously T'Pol isn't actually awake because T'Pol knows how to fly this ship. Like,
Right.
it's not an issue for her.
Yeah, you're right. It is the one of the
Right,
first.
it's something you don't really pay attention to, right? Like it's
Yeah, you're not thinking about it, but I feel like they would have. I feel like they would have also mentioned in that meeting, Flock. Me and DePaul will be awake. But it's very clear that it's only him. But he seems to forget that. I guess.
But
that's
I
the
think
point.
on the first view, I don't think you're going to notice it. It's going to be something that you kind of notice after you watch it again.
No, I noticed it right away,
Oh, did you?
immediately.
I don't
I
think
was
I
like-
noticed it on the original view way back in the day, but obviously when I first turned on this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, T'Pol's not real.
So trying to remember, the Voyager episode, Kevin, that this is kind of similar to was there was some kind of like weird hallucination there, or there was some kind of twist to it, wasn't there?
I don't.
Um,
There
I
was
can't
because there
remember
always is, but I don't remember.
Was
exactly
it
what
that?
it
Do you know what? I
was.
think it was like wasn't it like the Doctor's episode, and then 7 of 9? We think she's awake, but maybe she's not, or something. I don't know. And so it's I remember it vaguely, but I think this episode's actually better than that one.
I don't remember the Voyager episode, so
Do you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about how this is the Enterprise way? Is like you start with the crisis, or you start with the action, whatever's happening, and then they go, oh, 2 days ago this happened, or
4 days ago.
oh yeah, this is a flashback show for sure.
They love flashbacks. I think it's because the teasers are so short and they have to lead into that theme song. So that there's sometimes the pacing of these
It's
episodes.
been a long road.
Yeah. Like I watched the credits today and it was like
The
the
end credits song I like. I just don't like the end credits songs actually should have been the song for the actual show.
No, I meant the opening credits, but it's just like that
No, the
guitar,
opening
like the
credits,
little bit
no, I
guitar
know, I
they
just
throw,
skip it.
they throw right in the end of it. Anyway, so anyway, so
coming back to teaching Phlox how to fly the Enterprise, which he learned in an hour, which I felt was a little quick. Like no wonder Trip's a little bit hesitant here. He's left.
It's either forward or reverse, and once in a while you turn. It's not that big of a deal. It's like driving.
it's I don't know, like it.
I
They put a lot in the dialogue to make it clear that unless there's like this kind of star near you, there's actually probably more nuance to it than just.
It'd be better if like Phlox after that lesson just walked out and went, "Now I know why nobody likes him," or something like that.
Why they never give him any lines?
I think that Trip is legitimately worried, and he should be.
Trip says, "I want you to wake me up. I want you to wake me up if something goes right." And then Phlox is like,
because
"You'll die."
He's like, I don't care. It's either the ship or me. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's cool when he says that. Like I'll make it easy for you.
Right.
If it's between the ship and me, wake me up.
Right.
Yeah.
And Phlox even considers that later on in the episode, but he's not willing to go there. Whereas he thinks Archer's going to have like similar objections or like or statements, and there's kind of a thing where Archer's just like, yeah, whatever, man. I don't care. I trust you. You got this. You know, you're one of the few people I would trust to do this. So
Right. And again, when T'Pol shows up, I think of this scene and go, why would he have that conversation with Phlox if T'Pol is awake?
right.
Yeah.
Has to be a hallucination.
Yeah. So, and knowing it's a hallucination does change the way you look at this episode for sure.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
But so it's not that clever of a misdirect or anything. I think we're all kind of consensus there.
Oh, no.
You know? So
I need one of those things at night, though. I just sleep.
yeah. Seems to be a pretty deep sleep. Okay, so they go into a coma for 4 days, right? So you don't get to eat anything. You know, are you going to poop your pants, or is that like little device going to stop that from happening?
I think it just shuts you down. You're
shuts everything down.
Yeah, it just keeps you alive enough
Like
that
yeah.
you're breathing. That's about it.
Okay. Yeah. So they don't need like stasis units, because I remember in the Voyager episode they had to like go into like stasis pods or something. It was a lot more involved, and it was like a month. It was not like just 4
Yeah, it wasn't
days.
going to be 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think these guys would have to go into a stasis type situation if it was going to be longer.
No. I'm just kind of pointing out those, because these episodes just feel so similar to me, and so I'm just kind of noting the differences, but or the similarities. Yeah. Anyway, some cool shots of Enterprise throughout the nebula. Anyway, and so Phlox is doing his engineering thing, which I think Trip told him earlier. You have to check every 2 hours or something. It's a good thing Phlox doesn't sleep. That's also a bonus here. You know, that he has to.
Yeah.
Well, he does sleep, but he only does it like once every. I think it's like once a year or twice a year or something.
Right. In the course of this 4 days, he doesn't require any sleep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or anything. You know, but he starts hearing the noises pretty soon into it, you know, and doesn't know what to make of it. It's a lot of him like looking around corners and hearing things and getting kind of more paranoid. I do love the jogging here, where he's jogging and singing.
Uchi Bangalu, Marit Sutbol, Marit Sutbol.
I like how Porthos is like trying to keep up with him the whole time too.
Yeah.
Porthos is like, I have little legs, jackass.
Yeah, he's exercising, and then we get like the whole Austin Powers naked thing where he's just got the slippers on, I guess. You know,
Oh, behave.
Oh, behave. Yeah. I thought like good for John Billings.
I like how they did the back of him though. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully you got the shot of the.
Oh, yeah,
back of him.
I did. Yeah, just him like looking around, and then
That is the biggest tablet computer ever. Like that's not practical by any stretch of the
We
imagination.
never see another one that size in the entire show.
Not
yeah.
only that, but like look how big that ant is on there.
It's a big
Like,
scan of an ant, and somehow that's related to his medical treatments or something. Yeah, there's his back there, which I think we saw that before when him and
Oh, we've seen it
Phlox
before, yeah.
were in the decon chamber.
When they have to gel each other up, yeah.
Yeah, but I did like, you know, good on for Phlox. You know, he's not like ripped like Mayweather, but he's like, you know what, I'm gonna rock it. You know, I'm gonna walk around on the TV show, and more for like Billingsley, I think. You know, just you know, good on him.
So I looked up the movie, guys. It's called the Court Jester.
Yeah,
this movie there that he's watching,
1955. That's Danny
As
Kaye.
soon as it flashed up, I was like, wait, are they watching a Star Trek episode?
You know what I thought that was? I thought it was the first. I thought it was Lost in Space.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every time I see this actor, I always think of White Christmas.
It's not Danny Kaye.
Yeah.
yeah, it looks a lot like Star
My
Trek.
mother has watched White Christmas more times than I care to admit.
like original series, kind of like just the lighting and
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
some of the things and the reflection on some of the materials. Yeah, so Phlox having a good night, a movie night, bowl of popcorn that he made for himself, giving some of it to Porthos. He's always giving that dog.
Porthos
Food.
is going to be like a wreck intestinally after this whole thing. Like
Eating leeches.
4 days of absolute garbage is going into this dog.
And then Archer's getting him cheese all the time. It's not good for him. Yeah, so he's watching the movie. Yeah, and then I think he's like he hears the sound while he's watching the movie. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
I gotta need to check this out. He says, "Hey Porthos, come on, I'm not going alone." And Porthos is like, "I don't want to go either."
Porthos is like, "You're crazy, dude."
He's
Give me
not.
more
He's not.
popcorn."
he's no guard dog. This one.
No, Porthos, no.
Yeah, so Phlox actually has to like pick him up and like carry him out with him, and then he starts walking on his own. Going along, checking things out. Oh yeah, and then he finds like this event in engineering is kind of going, so he goes to get it up, and then we get this is the first appearance of hallucination
to Paul.
Hallucination to Paul. We've seen this outfit before, right? In
Oh,
the
absolutely.
previous-
This was an outfit that she wore in I think the second season. If
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So she's coming along. She nearly gives him a heart attack or a cardiac something or other. He
I
says.
love what they do with her throughout this whole thing. Like she's totally useless. Like she
Especially at
can't
the
do
end.
anything.
Yeah. She doesn't know anything he doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's yeah.
Would it been cool if they explore a little bit why he picked her? You know.
I think it's just the most like obvious one because she's not human, right?
She's not
Like,
human, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he just forgot that Vulcans were also needed to go into comas for this anomaly. It was something. It's part of the hallucination, I think.
Yeah.
And he's choosing to invent her, you know. And I think like they could have made like they said that this trip to Azadi Prime was going to be 3 weeks, right? They could have made this. They could have made this stretched out for more than 4 days, but I guess
Absolutely.
maybe because I feel like the isolation and like the fact he talks about how Denoblians are like this super social race who choose to live in these crowded cities, not by necessity, but because that's just how their culture is.
Yeah.
And
they can't even have 2 people aren't even enough for their marriages.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, because they all have all Denoblians have like 3 spouses, right?
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
the only way they're trying to like misdirect us here is that T'Pol is awfully T'Pol like at the beginning here. She's got her duties, he's got his. Why would we interact?
Right. She's like, and she talks about how she likes isolation. She's more, this is like the whole introvert versus extrovert kind of thing. You know, he's the extrovert, she's the introvert. So it also kind of makes sense. Well, yeah, I guess she would keep to herself a little bit. You know, she's
And I also appreciate the fact, I mean, she would come to his aid if he needed it, but I just feel like if they each had their assigned duties, they're going to do them, or she's going to do hers.
right.
But I also think over 2 days, their assigned duties would be talking to each other. Like
yes.
they would probably have to check in with each other over that 2 days.
She's like, are you walking around naked down there? Like, just want to know. Just before I go down to E deck or whatever.
Especially since she would be in command of the ship. She would want to know if he's checking that shit every 2 hours.
That's
or
true. Yeah.
True.
Whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely some logic things. You're not meant to really think about it, I think, but you know, I think how can you not, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're watching the show all the time. We get more of like Phlox doing his duties, hearing things, more sounds, and him getting startled. This one was in engineering later on, and then he calls up to T'Pol. He's like, "Hey, if you're gonna be sneaking around and playing pranks, can you please stop it? Not very Vulcan of you." She says it wasn't me. You know, I'm not anywhere near there.
I'm on the bridge.
I'm on the bridge. What? Da, da, da. You know, what's going on? You know, so they meet up in the galley, or I guess they don't because she's not real.
Fair statement.
So
Yeah,
listeners, if you haven't
Phlox
figured
has
this out,
another hallucination in the galley.
yeah. This time he's making soup, or something like that for the 2 of them. You know, but she doesn't eat anything, right?
Nothing.
Yeah. You know, so she's watching them eat, and I don't know, like even though she's in an hallucination, I do like the way that their scenes go and like their vibe.
Yeah, their interactions are very good, and it is believable. So it's
They every episode where they're together, they play off each other so well.
yeah.
Mhm. And you know, they're the 2 aliens of the ship. They immediately have that kind of built-in connection, even though their personalities are so different,
very different.
You know? And their 2 species are so different too, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like there's that kind of that mutual understanding. And then we'll go back to Phlox. He's recording more of his letter. He's going along. He's checking on Archer. Of course, we can see that water polo ball. That's when we know where we are. And then he while he's there, I think he like sees something out on the window. He's like looking out like Archer's window here, and then like it's almost like that. What's that Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah, the William Shatner episode.
The William
Shatner.
Shatner one, yeah.
Yeah, there's a monster on the wing of the plane or something like that, and he calls up to Hoshi. Not Hoshi. Hoshi comes later. Up to DePaul, fake DePaul, and they're looking through all the scans, and and she's just playing like, I'm DePaul, I'm the skeptic. I never believe anybody. And then you're like, this tracks. DePaul does never believe anybody. Science doesn't comets aren't important, or time travel doesn't exist, even though I time traveled, etc. So going back and forth. Phlox is
We have a very serious question here.
What's that?
Sam says, why does Adam look so high?
Just tired, buddy.
He worked all day.
high on this episode.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. There's a lot of like this part, where you can see like Phlox is like really starting to lose it. But this voice in his head too, when you're watching this, like knowing that she's not real, it feels very I don't know, like it's unsettling, I guess is the word I'm looking for, because he's unraveling, and there's no one he can turn to other than Porthos, really. And Porthos is a dog. So
very astute.
I love that you said that with some stank.
He's a
on it.
dog.
Yeah. Dogs don't add anything to
What's
the
he
crew.
gonna do? He's a dog.
Is he gonna push a button? Is he gonna help fix something?
I just like how he said it. That was great.
Yeah. And then like he goes to check out Hoshi. I love this, like this insectoid who's like, hey,
How you doing?
hey, you doing?
He's splashing a peace sign there.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah, he's gotta go for it, like Hubbard. He's like, get away from her, actually, and like pretty not bad. I liked this moment. He's running away through the halls, corridors, and even like I love the shadow of like the Zindi insectoid, which is still an hallucination, but it's like there was some good horror moments and beats in this. Like I feel like they could have even taken it further. Like we see here that Phlox actually hides inside of an airlock in order to like escape, but he really maybe kind of put himself in some serious danger here. He was
He doesn't spend too much time in there. I think he realizes, hey, out of here. This is not that place to be.
Yeah, but there's all this tension here where he's waiting for like the door to close, and then I think we see like another shadow here, but then like it kind of the moment passes, and he gets out there and he calls up to DePaul, and then DePaul's like, we can't scan anything. There's nothing out here. We've been looking for 2 hours. Nothing's real. And he goes, I don't know, but somehow they got on the ship. She's like, there was no transporter signatures. He's like, shut up and help me shoot this thing. So she's just like kind of talking him out of it. He's like, you're not being very helpful, like I need your help. Come on. And she never takes a phaser. Like there's other clues here, that she never even picks up the hand scanner.
But even when he's like saying you're not being helpful, and she goes, well, I've already done 4 decks with you. Like,
but what did you do other than just kind of naysay, because you're, but it's kind of standard. He comes into the Mako's quarters. He's looking around. Like when she comes around and like the light on her here, and then they're kind of going along, and he's like, well, she's like the hand scanner is not very powerful, it doesn't have a lot of range, you don't know how to use it properly. She's just kind of like this negative character, and then he thinks he's found it, but guess what?
Oh, poor Porthos.
Close call, Porthos. I don't think he was an hallucination.
Almost a hot dog.
No reaction from Porthos either.
He kind of goes,
nerves of steel on that dog.
Yeah, he goes, huh?
It's almost like that was put in post-production.
Yeah. So can I eat that?
Yeah. Where's my thing?
You nearly shot the captain's dog.
That was good. Anyway, so she's getting really annoyed with him. He's getting annoyed with her. You're not being helpful. I think that they end up. Oh yeah, he gets a call here, so they split up, and then he gets calls like it's Hoshi, doctor, help me, and he's like Hoshi, He starts running over here. He gets up to her quarters. She's not in bed. Where is she? What could be going on? We hear the shower going. We see all this steam coming out, and he's like, Hoshi, is that you? More of this horror-esque thing. I thought this was good. And she's like, I thought you were going to save us. You were going to help us. Oh no.
You promised us!
Oh boy.
Her face is all melt. I don't think her face was going to melt off from this nebula, but this is part of the hallucination. I thought this was fun. Yeah. I'm sure.
Well, this is supposed to mimic The Exorcist, right? Because they.
Oh yeah, because he talks about how he had recently watched that.
You should never have watched The Exorcist last week.
Yep.
I should never have let Mr. Tucker talk me into watching The Exorcist last week.
Yeah, but that's how it goes at movie night.
They did a good job with the makeup on her, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that was more than a couple hours, I would say.
Yeah, she was probably there for a couple hours for that one. Yeah, for this kind of throwaway scene for the most part.
Yeah, where the saying, and then he stumbles, he falls back out of the bathroom here, and then he sees, Hoshi's in her bunk. He doesn't. He's trying to kind of put the pieces together. He looks into the bathroom. There's no steam. There's no shower. Whatever. I guess and senior officers all get their own showers and their own everything else. So
they're not sonic showers though, so they're not
sonic. But for everybody who's like, how when we go into the Mako's quarters and they just have the two bunk beds there, and there doesn't seem to be a bathroom there.
No, they have a communal one.
There's a communal bathroom.
Travis got his own quarters.
He's a senior officer.
Senior officer.
He's technically a senior officer, but yeah,
Oh my god,
he shouldn't have one.
We should consider.
That's where the Makos go to use their bathroom. Eh?
I think it would be interesting to see.
Let's go to May Brothers' room.
that could have been a fun set, a communal bathroom where they're all showering or whatever.
Oh, they could do it like they did in
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
Like in Starship Troopers. Well, yeah, without the nudity maybe, because this is on.
You got to ruin everything, Dave.
UPN back in the day, but yeah. Okay, then we get the Archer hallucination that comes right after, but he knows this at this point. He knows it's an hallucination.
Yeah, at this point he's clued in. Yeah.
Yeah, Archer's like, "What's going on, man? I thought I guess I trusted you too much. I shouldn't have trusted you to do this."
Well, and Archer's not even talking the way Archer normally talks too, so it's a dead
away from me.
It's a dead giveaway, really.
Yeah, I like the way Bakula plays it. Very smug, very condescending. And then Doctor, and then we see it's a ball hallucination. But now I guess he can only manifest one hallucination at a time. They never interact with each other. And yeah, so he's going along here, and he knows he's not well. There's a cutaway here to sick bay where he talks about how I scanned I was worrying about the rest of the crew. I never thought about myself. I feel like this is something doctors would need to be trained in, especially if they're the only doctor looking after an entire bunch of basically he's got 80 patients, right, who are all in comas. And there's no other doctors, no other medical staff.
I think that he would have thought that he was immune. I mean, obviously he's here. He would have thought that.
He did think that, and I guess to a certain extent he's right, but they don't really have a ton of information. They don't have a ton of experience with these anomalies, and they don't. No.
I don't know if it's necessarily the anomaly or just him losing his mind from being alone. I mean, that's what they set up. That Denoblians
deal with stress.
Deal with stress through hallucination.
Right. But
they set that up a couple episodes back too. It's not even just this episode. They actually mentioned it previous.
Right. But he would have, I guess but I guess he's not thinking clearly. He's not, obviously he's forgotten that he even put T'Pol into a coma at all. Right. Yeah. So there are certain parts of this that are fictitious that, and in this episode, I guess the stuff with him and Porthos is real, and that's about it, and I guess the things he's doing are real, the places he's going, but that's, but maybe not, who knows? It's all a little bit up in the air,
No, him and Porthos are real, likely, and nothing.
How do we know Porthos isn't
not up in the air at all? Nothing else is real.
How do we know he didn't try to shoot a Porthos hallucination?
That's, what? We'll never have the answer to that. Whether Porthos is real or not, fine. That is up in the air.
Who cares?
Who cares? I like that.
The dog, Dave. The dog.
It's the dog. Yeah. Anyway, so just more. This is the scene where they find out that they should be out of the anomaly by now, but they're not. It's like been growing or something, or they should have compensated, and they need to.
I got the impression they were going slower than they thought they were.
They said
But I'm
the
not
edge.
sure.
They should be out. They should be out of this nebula by now, and they find out it's not even they. It's just him. Phlox finds out that they're not, and they're it's because it's been growing or something. That it's going to be like another 10 weeks to get out of this, and
Unless they go to warp.
With him hallucinating and the neural degradation that's happening to him, they don't have 10 weeks, so they need to go to warp. You know, they need to find a way to take this ship to warp. And he's like,
I'm a physician, not an engineer.
He keeps like saying, help me, T'Pol, help me.
Do I need to keep reminding you are the science officer?
Don't worry, you have to tell the real T'Pol.
I love what he says. Are you suggesting I read the manual?
Yeah, I like that.
I love this shot here where they're
They do a couple overhead shots actually, which are really neat.
Yeah,
I like that one where it's like nice and closed in.
Yeah, like, and she's just like
reminds me of a 90s alternative band album.
Yeah. And like he's just like she never does anything, right? Because she's always like, I don't know how to do this. This is not my best day. I'm also having effects.
Oh, that was a funny line too, because he says to her, even on your worst day, you'd be better than me.
Right, at this particular task, and she's like, this is not my best day. This is by far one of my worst.
Because this is really when she starts to lose it.
Yeah. But I guess, because she's
not
really
his hallucination is losing it.
Even his hallucination is hallucinating. And then we get the Trip hallucination, who's like, he's just kind of being mean and saying like, you're gonna blow everything up. You're gonna screw this all up. He asked T'Pol to go do something like open the plasma vents, and she's like, I don't know what plasma vents are. Because she can't really do anything for him because she's not real. So he's like fine, I'll do it myself. So he does get like the engine back online, the warp engine, and it's going, and he's all kind of happy with himself. I like these moments where he's just got the joy. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go like
wait, Dave, go back that face with T'Pol where she's like, I have no idea what this is.
What's this? Yeah. Like I love the way Jolene Blaylock plays it. She's very fun, and because she can be like outside.
Still
of
the best actor in the series.
Yeah, I think these two. These
two. Yeah, I would agree with you. These two are probably the best actors in the series.
Yeah, I think so too. And so he's getting the engines back online. Things are going along, and he's like, okay, well, what are the calculations, T'Pol? I don't know.
Calculations?
Yeah, all she does is open her eyes a little wider, and she looks like she doesn't know anything.
Yeah. He's like, hey, T'Pol, okay, you do this, and I'll do this, and she's like, can you go fix this?
I love that when she's like,
Is it supposed to be sparking like that?
Or is exploding,
Yeah. It's got some.
I have a feeling it's not supposed to look like this.
Yeah. Some good comedy here. It's like the climax of the episode, and they're trying to get out here, and he does. He manages to get the thing to go to warp, and the Enterprise gets out of this nebula, with the radiation, and he's going along. And I just he's just like, woohoo! I did it! I found a way to run it in like a warp thing. Good enough they had to get up to warp 2, I think, in order to get out of it fully out. Throwing his hands up in the air. T'Pol's like, yeah, this is great. And then we got kind of like a cutaway, and then he's taking Archer out of the coma. He wakes up, groggy. He's reunited with Porthos. Anything happened while I was asleep? That'll be my report, he says.
Don't you think it's kind of important that he tells them what happened?
He's like, you can read about it later.
You know what? Why bother? He's asleep. I'm sorry, he's on bed now. Everything's fine. They're through it. No problems.
Right. So I guess the second person he woke up was Trip. So he goes and gets him up. He's like, I'm feeling a little groggy. He's like, you haven't eaten in 4 days. Go to the galley and got some food.
Yeah. What happened to my warp engines? Well, they sparked a little bit.
Yeah, I nearly blew up the ship, but it was worth it. And the T'Pol hallucinations still following them around. But of course, Trip can't see her because So I guess like this is still like a lingering effect, even though they're out
I'll
of the
walk you to
nebula.
your cabin, Paul. I'm gonna walk.
I'll get you. I'll walk you to there.
Well, this is so we can see obviously the the
and then
payoff, right?
He looks away and he sees there's T'Pol sleeping there.
The outfit
on
she's
the
supposed to be wearing.
Yeah, so I guess she doesn't wear this orange one anymore. You're saying, like in this season, like that's only
No, she doesn't wear the velour thing at all.
this thing anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was in her repertoire, but yeah. And then he looks back.
I don't remember any episodes in this season that have.
You're probably right. Yeah, I just haven't picked up on
It was
it.
an episode she had like three, I think three different.
She sometimes it's not just this one.
She doesn't wear just the blue one, but the blue one is the most common one. For
But this style
in
you're
season.
saying is like the new her out of the Vulcan, whatever the Vulcan military thing she's in. So the science directory or whatever. So anyway, okay, and he looks back, sees her, and then he kind of figures out, okay, that was hallucination. That's the big reveal, even though you've probably put those things together by now, maybe. He goes to the galley and he meets up with the real T'Pol to join her, and he's just kind of, I don't know, what was the kind of the point of this ending that he knows, like he kind of like hints that I wasn't as alone as you think I was, and she's just like, huh?
It's just like the unimpressed T'Pol right there.
She's like, what are you talking about?
It's like, show me another comment.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry about it, you can read about it in the report.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, fine. And then that's the end of the episode. Those are the screenshots. So,
I like he also says when he's writing his letter that he could have deleted everything because it wasn't real, but he left it in.
Yeah, he left it in for effect, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to take this this doctor like on this like kind of like us. So, like we're kind of like living this story. Like what? And then the ship was gonna blow up, and then you want to shut a dog, and then like the Vulcan lady was losing her mind too, and she didn't know anything about engineering all of a sudden. Oh, she wasn't real. I get it now. So anyway, hey Adam, do you have any fun facts?
Is Adam gone?
Are you ready, Jody?
Fun facts with Adam.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, you were paused for a bit.
You can see me. Okay, good. Yeah.
I can see you, but you're not moving. Okay, now you're moving.
All right. Okay. So Dr. Phlox is the movie Dr. Phlox is watching when the hallucinations start is The Court Jester, 1955, starring Danny Kaye, which we already talked about. There's one. This is one of a mere few episodes of Enterprise or any of the Star Trek series to credit no guest stars due to its omission of any such performers because only existing sets of Enterprise were used in this episode. It qualifies as a true bottle show. Yep.
Yeah, true bottle show.
The episode has a striking resemblance to the Voyager called One, where 7 of 9 navigates the ship through a hazardous region of space, and the crew is in a comatose state, and she begins to hallucinate as well. Dave, you said it, or you brought it up, but Phlox says, "I'm a physician, not an engineer." A slightly different version of Dr. McCoy's famous line, "I'm a doctor, not an engineer," from the original Star Trek in 1966. The episode was directed by Roxanne Dawson, who played B'Elanna Torres, which we mentioned. And this is the only episode of Enterprise, coming back to the "I'm a doctor, not a" phrase, where Phlox actually uses this.
It's the only time he uses it because, like, I think the EMH used it, like versions of that.
Oh yeah, on Voyager it was constant.
Yeah, in the second season, actually, he did in the episode called Regeneration. He did state, "I need to think like an engineer, not a physician."
Yeah, but that's kind of different.
Yeah, very different. This is the fourth time anyone in Star Trek speaks to Nobulan. The previously 3 episodes are Dear Doctor, Stigmata, and A Night in Sickbay.
So that song he's singing, is that supposed to be Denoblian?
I guess so, because that was the only time I heard it.
But it sounds like a tune from Earth that he's like singing in Denoblian. Am I right?
Well, it could be. Yeah. It sounded familiar anyway.
It sounded like something I should know, but
yeah. The episode was reminiscent of William Shatner's 1963 appearance in Twilight Zone Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, in which he sees a gremlin on the wing. And that was actually redone in Twilight Zone, the movie, with John Lithgow as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
The world needs more John Lithgow.
Yeah, we do. And spoilers, here's one for you. This is the only time the Doctor is accompanied by T'Pol. She does not interact with any props or ship's controls the whole time. I didn't see that.
She never touches anything. Like she never.
That's because she's not real.
Right. We know, but
That's good.
Yep.
okay.
And just checking if there's anything else worth talking about here. I think that's about it, Dave.
Okay. Well, thanks, Adam. Let's go to ratings, guys. Down here. All right. So, what do we want to give this one? Doctor's orders. Jody.
This is a hard one for me because, yes, it was a good episode, but it also was a bit draggy. I'm gonna give this a 7.5. I think
7.5. Okay. Adam.
I didn't love it, but it didn't have Malcolm in it. So I'm going to give it a
good point. I should have gave it more points then.
Yeah.
Say again.
7.5. I'm going to stick with Jody on this one.
I liked it even more than last week, so I'm going 8.3.
Only 0.3 better though.
I'll give this a 7.5. I like it more than last week.
Okay. Did Davan give us any kind of comment in the comments? Or?
I don't see anything. So,
okay, Sam's saying 7.4 for him, so that's pretty consistent. That also was what the IMDb score. Our average tonight 7.7. It seems like we were like not bad, but didn't blow us away. It seems like
it was a decent episode. I was entertained.
Yeah, this is the first. Oh, here's a fun fact we might have missed. This is the first episode of the year 2154 in like universe because we last episode was like late December of of 2153. So I guess like we missed Christmas. Like
thank God Star Trek doesn't do any Christmas episodes.
They never do anything like Christmas.
Thank God.
Ever in their shows.
I think no series should ever do a Christmas episode after you saw the abomination that was the Star Wars Christmas special.
Well,
that should be an instant no.
Doctor Who did them okay, but not.
The Doctor Who ones weren't terrible, I guess. Yeah.
Like half the writers on Next Gen were Jewish. I don't know if that has something to do with it, or if it's something they just wanted to be
inclusive. And that's I'm glad they didn't.
The closest thing they've ever done to Christmas in Star Trek is like Star Trek Generations,
where
he's in
where he's in the Nexus. Yeah.
She's like, I love the doll, Papa. She's so pretty.
So, and Renee always looks like he's like taking a huge crap.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever notice that? Next time you watch that, look at Renee in the flashback series because like that kid just looks so bad all the time.
But Jane here says, "Good night, best Star Trek series in her opinion."
Really,
or their opinion. Yeah. So
I like it. I like it. I'm not saying I like it.
You like it. You don't love it.
It's not the worst series, that's for sure.
I mean, at the episode tonight. Do you love this episode?
I don't love it. 7.5 is.
That's okay. A like. That's a I like, and I'd say I like it pretty good. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's it then for this.
What do we got next week, Dave?
What do we got next week, Jody?
Oh, yeah, that's me, isn't it?
Are they going to get to Azadi Prime finally? Are we finally going? To
No, we're not there yet, Dave.
We got to hit another cowboy planet.
Next week's episode is Hatchery. Enterprise finds a derelict Xindi insectoid. Wow, that's a hard one to say altogether. Starship carrying a cache of unhatched eggs, and Archer takes an increasingly obsessive interest in preserving them.
Looks like Daniel Day Kim will be back as Corporal Chang.
Chang,
who Daniel Day Kim was on Lost as Jin, Jin and Sun. But he was also in like that Voyager episode with the skyship and like all that. I'm a fan of Daniel Day Kim, so glad to see he'll be back.
Then you're going to enjoy it next week.
Hatchery. Okay, let's do it. All right. And then you should also check out our other shows here on Live Long and Podcast, all of our different Star Trek podcasts, not just our Star Trek Enterprise, but we have an ongoing series where we've been covering every episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We do those usually on Tuesdays. And tomorrow we are talking about the next installment, which is season 6, episode 24, I believe, which is called Time's Orphan. And
It's called Molly Becomes a Caveman.
yeah, it's not my favorite. And
Oh God, that's a terrible episode.
and it's like the second last episode or third last episode of season 6. And I'm just
It's near the
really?
end,
This
yeah.
is where we're going for as we're winding down.
Especially when you
season
have
6?
such interesting like storylines in some of the episodes that are leading up to that episode. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's just like O'Brien, like the character of O'Brien literally hasn't been on the show for a while. Like we haven't seen him in any episodes, like going back at least four episodes.
And
So
I think his last big episode was another stinker. It was the gangster.
Oh
one.
yeah, the one where he went to like be like an undercover Donnie Brasco guy.
Yeah.
Regine
When
says
did you-
the
when did you
Zindi
guys
saga
start?
is also great.
When did you guys start Deep Space Nine? If you're on season 6 right now.
They
We
started,
started
like,
it-
a year and a half before us.
We started that basically the first month of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Holy.
And so it's been 3 years now, over 3 years. I think 3 years this month. And we're good. So we have one season left. We just got to finish up to season 7. Yeah, but it's like when you compare it to like when we did the Star Trek original series, Adam, that was only 79 episodes, and we've already doubled that.
Well, and this
we're-
series has 97, I think.
original series at
77
79.
No, but this series has 97.
Oh,
So you guys have it hard with DS9 because DS9 has like what?
Well, it's a 7-season show, like
season show with like 26 episodes in each season, basically.
And Jeff's like, I want to do a Deep Space Nine rewatch. I'm like, Jeff, it's going to take us 3.5 years. Are you sure? He's like, yes, we have to do it. I want to do it. And I said, okay, man, if you want to do it, I'm there.
When was the last time Jeff
Before
was on
he
an
knew
episode?
he was going to have a kid or anything,
He knew
Yeah.
he was going to one day, probably within those 3 years. But,
Maybe not at that exact time, but
Yeah. You knew it was in the
Jeff is
the plan.
almost a guest star on that podcast now.
He comes
When
in
he
and out.
shows up.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna have to. So I'm hoping we wrap up season 6 soon, and then move on to season 7. But
So you
'cause we
guys
got-
are going to wrap up about the same time we are, actually.
well, we're probably gonna take a break because Tuesdays are about to get busier with ball hockey and stuff. So
that's true, yeah.
I was hoping we were gonna finish season 6 before that, but it doesn't look like it's. We're gonna
because our first game is what
fit in the last 2
second?
episodes,
Yeah.
probably when we play on Thursdays or something, and then go
Or
from
just
there.
do it on another day. I can do it on another day.
We can just do it another day
Yeah.
or something like that too. So, so that's the plan. And then, we just wrapped up Star Trek Picard, guys, on last week. Kevin, did you see Star Trek Picard finale?
Of course I saw it.
And did you?
And I
like
loved it. I loved it all.
You loved it all.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm-
we covered the
I'm-
entire season here on Live Long and Podcast. Check out that specific podcast. Not just season 3, but season 2 and 1, or all of those podcasts are there. And coming up soon, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds starting June 15th. What is next? Give me a minute, Sam. I'm not done Deep Space Nine. I can't without thinking about
Yeah.
successor.
We got another 30 episodes before
What's
we have to
after
worry
Deep
about
Space Nine? 2025.
Yeah.
that. Well, 2024 anyway.
Maybe getting back one of our weeknights again. Yeah, so that'll be good. But
Oh,
Star
no,
Trek
you'll
Strange,
just fill it with something else.
yeah,
Oh,
Star
okay.
Trek Strange New Worlds will be coming back June 15th. We'll be picking up that on Thursdays. But we get a little bit of break here between Picard and Strange New Worlds. I did a trailer reaction with Davan last week where we saw the Leafs jersey in the trailer for Star Trek. That's got to be a first. And so go and look at that. Plus, we talked about all the new stuff that's coming up. We did one about the Starfleet Academy show that they've announced. That's probably going to come out in about 2 years. And this new special movie event, Section 31, with Michelle Yeoh. They're going to bring her character back from Discovery and do something with her. So all of our thoughts are out there. We had some podcasts on those things. Check those things out. Plus, we had
There's
Star Trek.
Possibly Legacy eventually.
Star Trek Legacy might be coming too. Yeah, I think that's almost guaranteed they're going to do that now.
I think so. Yeah.
It's just a matter of when they announce it. But it seems like it's coming. And then we also have our not just the episodes and movie stuff, but we do like debates and trivias and all kinds of different content that mostly Davan runs in the science division. Last week there was the all ladies version of Debate 9. It had my wife and Kevin's wife Ashley and Dave Pugsley's wife Katie, all competing in a roundtable debate format. Check that out. Plus, Locutors of Trek. Davan and Dave Pugsley, their long formats. They're wrapping up season 1. Their long format audio podcasts. You can check those out. Plus the Star Trek Radio Theater projects we do in our operations division, or playing video games, or all kinds of great podcasts. We have all kinds of fun stuff here. We are part of a Live Long and Podcast is part of a federation of podcasts that has all kinds of amazing shows, like Trivial Debates, where there's a host and 3 guests. These all have their own channels.
It's only amazing when I'm on it.
You can find it on ufpodcast.com. We have the Super Mater Brothers podcast, where we do shows like Survivor, and right now doing Survivor season 44.
Is my guy still in?
You got Kane, right? Yeah, he's still there.
Second from the left.
Yeah, he's still there, but he had a wake-up call last week. You watch out.
Oh.
He was on the wrong side of a vote. And then Big Brother Canada 11, we're doing that on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I got the guy with all the O's in it.
Yeah, you got the Hope. Oh, he got voted out last week.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, he's out. Spoilers.
I'm gonna cry myself to sleep tonight.
Yeah, and then the Mary Mater Marvel Society over on that channel as well, where we're about to cover Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's our next podcast over there.
Sam says Kevin should be on Big Brother Canada.
Nope. Never going to happen.
No chance in hell.
I'd be out first day.
Yeah, he wouldn't tolerate the stupidity that goes on in there.
There's a lot of stupidity that goes on in there. That's almost exclusively what goes on in there. X-Rated, the X-Men, the animated series, every Tuesday with Davan and Andre, talk about the X-Men show, the X-Men cartoon from the 90s, and when they'll be doing the sequels soon up there. Davan from that podcast also has the Graphic Histories podcast, where he interviews people from film and TV and comic books and different artists. Definitely check out those as well. Audio only on that one. Hold Up, a movie podcast every second Wednesday with Davan and Murphy, where they talk about 3 movies in a different theme. They were supposed to do one this week. They were doing heist movies next with Jaemeel, but I think that got pushed till next week. So check that out. And then the newest member of the channel, Eamon on Track. My son Eamon doing album reviews. He just did a new one last night with Chris Murphy, one of our podcasters in the network, where they were talking about the Proto Man album. It was called Act 2, The Death of the Father. It was kind of based on Mega Man. Yeah, and everything else. So check that podcast out. Eamon's doing all kinds of album reviews, all different
Yes,
guests.
he's scheduled me as well. So
yeah, I said when you.
I don't know what album it's going to be though.
Well, you have to pick.
Oh, do I have to pick? Oh,
you have to pick.
Oh, that would be fun. I would like to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you pick an album.
I'm sure you can get on there too, Adam.
You pick an album, you listen to it, and then you talk about it.
We got to help out Eamon. We got to get him going here.
Yeah. So and he's like and the 3 he's done so far very different, which with me and Davan and now Chris Murphy. So lots of fun. So a lot of different episodes. I told him keep it going, kid. It's good. So I think that's all our shows. And there's the Hellbound podcast every Wednesday with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. And on that note, I think we will close out here tonight. Ooh, what's a good quote to go out on? I think this.
I would be out even quicker than Kevin would.
We could form an alliance and both leave.
We'll both leave at the same time. We'll be like, "This is stupid. We're leaving."
All right, I think this is the quote we'll go out on, guys. Live long and podcast. Thanks to the whole panel, and see you next week. All right.
I nearly killed Porthos, remember?
We remember.